Hello and welcome to the fourth video on the basics of English pronunciation. Last time, if you remember, we were talking about sounds and we were talking about vowel sounds. Today, we're going to be talking about stress and in particular, word stress. Okay? Now, if you remember, word stress means that there is one syllable in each long word that is stressed. If you remember from my first video, I said that you can look this up in a dictionary. The apostrophe shows which syllable you should say louder and stronger than the others. This is the stressed syllable. Fantastic, fantastic. Okay, now word stress is a particular feature of English. It's a particular feature of the English language, and it's a feature that distinguishes it from French. Okay, the two languages are very different in this respect, and that's because French is a syllable-timed language, whereas English is a stress-timed language. Now, what that means is, for a syllable-timed languages, all the syllables are more or less equal. That means that you hear them all. In stressed-timed languages, however, all the syllables are not equal. You don't hear them all equally. One is bigger than the others. One is the stressed syllable. Okay? So that means that our two languages may look the same, but you always have to be careful because they do not sound the same. Okay? One particular problem is with words like fantastic here, which is a word that we call a transparent word. So it's a word that is very similar in French and English, that you can guess the meaning of when you read it, but when you hear it, it might sound very different, okay? So let's have a look at some other transparent words because they're very common in academic English. We have, for example, machine, innovation, social, syllabic. We have society, mobility, and sociology. Okay, as you can see, I've put the English and the French on these cards. You can see that the French and the English words look very similar. However, they sound different. Hopefully you heard that, okay? Machine. We can hear that the sheen is a big syllable. Innovation. VA. Ve is the big syllable. Now this big circle here, that's a method that linguists use to show the stress syllable. So this is what we call the stress pattern. So you've got a weak syllable, stressed syllable, and a weak syllable. Innovation. Social. Here's the stress pattern for social. Syllabic. Here's the stress pattern for syllabic. Weak, strong, weak. Society. Weak, strong, weak, weak. Mobility. Weak, strong, weak, weak. And sociology. Weak, strong, weak, weak. Now, hopefully, as I was saying those words, you could hear maybe a certain rhythm, because words that have the same stress pattern have a similar rhythm. Listen to them again. Innovation, social, syllabic. Okay? All of these words have a strong syllable that is just one syllable before the end. You can see there's a strong syllable and then a weak syllable at the end. Strong syllable, a weak syllable at the end. A strong syllable, a weak syllable at the end. Let's have a look at these ones. Society, mobility, sociology. Hopefully you can hear there's the same rhythm. We have a strong and then a weak, strong, weak, strong, weak. There might be more syllables before the strong syllables, but it's the endings that matter. It's the endings that are similar. Okay? And these are the three major types of word stress in English. So we have ultimate syllable stress, That means it's the last syllable in the word that is stressed. We have penultimate syllable stress. That means it's the syllable one before the end that is stressed. And we have antepenultimate syllable stress. That means it's two before the end that is stressed. Okay, so ultimate, penultimate, and antepenultimate syllable stress. Okay, so how can you know which syllable to stress? Well, as I've said before, you can always check in the dictionary, but it's also useful to know that there are some rules. There are some pronunciation rules that will help you to predict which syllable will be stressed. Now, words like machine, that's a word that sounds French. It sounds a bit French to me. Another word, giraffe, technique, okay? These are words of French origin, and words that are often of French origin have the last syllable that is stressed. Now, this is the least common type of syllable stress in English, but it's very common in French, okay? You hear all the syllables in French, but it is uncommon in English. It's not very common. Okay, so what about penultimate syllable stress? What words can we predict will have this type of stress? Well, it's the ending of the word that is important. So words that end in ION, like innovation, so words that end in ION, like innovation, they will have the same stress pattern. They will have the same type of stress. So we can predict nation, precision. You can probably think of more. All words that end in ION, it's one syllable before the end that is stressed. Innovation, nation, precision. And the same is true for words that end in IAL, like social, okay? Social. You can probably think of racial, artificial, okay? Maybe you can think of some more. Racial, artificial, social. Syllabic. So this word, it ends in ic, okay? Syllabic. And most words that end in ic have the same pattern. So we've got optimistic or academic or fantastic here. Okay, let's have a look at these ones now. So antepenultimate word stress, words that are stressed have the stress syllable, two syllables before the end, like society. Okay, so words that end in ety, like society, they have this type of stress. Okay, so we have variety, we have anxiety, society, variety, anxiety. Okay, words that end in ity, like mobility, ity, they have this type of stress as well. So we've got ambiguity, nationality. Maybe you can think of some more. And finally, one that's very important for science, words that end in logy, okay? So you can probably think of lots of subjects, scientific subjects that end in logy, okay? We've got, for example, psychology, like some of you are psychology students. We've also got pathology, okay? So that's what you need to know about word stress. You need to know that you need to be careful about transparent words. The chances are, if you have two words that look the same in French as in English, the chances are that they will sound very different. And here are 6 pronunciation rules that will help you to predict how you will pronounce new words that you see. Okay, but don't forget to look in the dictionary as well. Thank you for watching.